everybody, and welcome back once again to Let's Play F1 Manager 22. Okay, so I'm recording this basically on the same day that I recorded Plague Tale Innocence, the last session of that, when I was on mute for the entire recording. Rather strangely, because I went into the options for sound, I changed it from my stream sound settings, changed the channels to the recording sound settings, but just forgot to take myself off mute. Well, I've checked and I've double checked and I'm not on mute now. So anyway, I won't be recording the entire session in this sitting because it's 20 past 10 at night. So by the time I finish practice and qualifying, there won't be enough time for me to do the race unless I want to be recording this until about 1 o'clock in the morning, which I clearly don't because I'm up at 7 for work. So I just thought I'd do the qualifying, do the practice, sort some of the stuff out so that I can record the race separately and hopefully still get that up for you guys on Saturday. If you're seeing this on Friday, it's a minor miracle, but you never know. But the aim is to get this up on Saturday for yourself, for you to enjoy and watch on the weekend. But anyway, enough flim flam, let's cut to the chase. Next race, Barcelona. Yes, good old Barcelona, Spain. Used to be the old testing circuit, but they're testing at Bahrain for 2023. Just the one pre-season test this season, not the usual two, so no Barcelona testing. But anyway, so yeah, Barcelona, been on the calendar for a long time. Classic circuit. And it's seen an alteration or two over the years. Mainly the last sector got a chicane installed. It used to be just a double right-hander, pretty quick double right-hander, but they put a chicane in there for reasons I don't know, to be quite frank. But anyway, that's where we're going. In terms of the potential strategies, two-stop is the expected strategy. Although the tyres do seem to suggest that a one-stop is possible, but I'm assuming that because of time constraints and having to conserve, it makes more sense to do a two-stop. We'll see. But there's your tyre offsets. If you look at the medium and the hards, the drop-off is pretty similar, but the mediums are 4/10 quicker, so the medium is clearly a better race tyre than the hard. The soft isn't too shabby either, hence why the quickest strategies suggest use of either two sets of softs or two sets of mediums. I'm debating whether two sets of softs is better than two sets of mediums. I think soft medium could be a good one, to be fair, but we'll see. We'll see what happens in the race itself. There could be safety cars, which could, of course, change the entire complexity of the race. What could also change the entire complexity of the race is the weather forecast, which clearly says it's going to be hammering it down on Sunday, so maybe we won't even be using any tyres other than wets and inters again. Who knows? I didn't notice that until just this instance. Looks like another fun race is in store for us. So anyway, cars we have developed and manufactured in an emergency fashion. Our new underfloor. Yes, the underfloor 2, Mark II, has arrived, and we have it installed on both cars in time for the race. We don't have any spares manufactured, unfortunately, so if they knacker the underfloor, they'll have to resort to the old one. So that's that, and that meant that we had an extra project slot available for design, and we have decided to put that into the front wing, because if you remember, we designed the front wing and the underfloor with the intense option, which means that the next front wing and underfloor that you design will benefit from an expertise boost, not the actual one that you're designing. So we need to design a second front wing, a second underfloor, a second rear wing to benefit from the expertise boost that we're going to get from our intense front wing and underfloor. Okay, does that make sense? Yeah, it's there. Sorry. Oh, I was getting confused. Underfloor 2, front wing 3. What? Yeah, that's manufacture, sorry. I should be looking at the design. So yeah, we're going to benefit from the front wing expertise boost from the first one that we've designed. And then after we get the third slot, design slot open to us when we have finished our design centre upgrade in 20 odd 30 days, we'll design the next underfloor to experience the boost too, and likewise with the rewing. So yeah, we need to get expertise boost. So that's the current plan. And once we've done 2 renditions of the wing, 2 renditions of the underfloor, then we'll start maybe looking at having a play with research. So no research just yet. So that's the situation with the cars. So we're going to now see just how much extra performance gain we get from the underfloor, because we got a pretty decent one, we think, from the front wing. So without further ado, let's get to the race weekend and find out, shall we? After we listen to Crofty harp on for a bit.
Cranked up the heat over Barcelona. The first Grand Prix held here was won by Nigel Mansell after a wheel-to-wheel battle with Ayrton Senna. But who will follow in his footsteps this weekend? Long straights and medium speed turns dominate here, but there's something else to watch out for at Barcelona. The air currents are strong and unpredictable, and they'll be giving aerodynamic components a real run for their money this weekend. At this early stage in the season, there are still plenty of opportunities for things to change. In this sport, there simply are no guarantees. The weekend begins here.
Here. Begins here, folks. You know what I mean? Okay, so as I said, practice, looking sunny. Saturday, practice and qualifying, looking sunny. Race, heavy rain. Oh dear. Right, so what we'll do is I'll skip practice as usual. I'll skip Q1 and potentially Q2, because I think we should get both cars into Q3 now, but we'll see how Q2 is going, and if we cut to Q2 it's because it's a bit tighter than I thought, but potentially I'm thinking now with the underfloor upgrade, both cars into Q3 should be a possibility, but we'll see. So join me in a second. Okay folks, we're back for the second run of Q2, and in Q1 we finished 7th and 10th, I believe. We were mixing it up in and amongst the Mercedes and the Alpines. The Alfa Romeos was a little bit slower in this race. They were down below us in the first session rather. So yeah, we're mixing it up with the top end of the midfield. So I think our underfloor has indeed, of course, as you would expect, has moved us a step forward by a little bit. But anyway, let's see how this final run of Q2 goes. Usual tactic in terms of waiting for the remainder of the cars to come out first, and we'll kind of bring up the rear if we can. Our lap here is about 1 minute 19, so we've got plenty of time to let the other cars filter out, do their stuff. Still got plenty of time. We'll send Ricciardo out first. Let him go. Then Norris. Still plenty of time. They're off and running. Oops. Don't know what buttons I'm pressing, but I'm losing control. Right, okay, so back to 1 speed. Ricciardo coming around the last few corners to the final chicane here. Right, left, start to push him now.
Need to push.
Give him an early deployment so you can get the deployment off this corner onto the straight to get the most straight line speed possible. And as you can see, after the first run's in 9th, but Hamilton will improve. Joe might improve also. And of course we've completely and utterly forgot about Norris to do that with him. But hey, he's a lot safer anyway. But he hasn't used any deployment, so he won't have as much speed on the straight, which is Poor management on Potter's behalf once again. More cock-ups from Potter? No way. But as you can see, I mean, we're a tenth. In fact, we're less than a tenth behind Hamilton, who's in the Mercedes. I mean, come on. It's not bad.
That is the end of the session.
That is not bad. So let's see. Let's see the timings. So, of course, as you would expect, Lando's slower in the first sector because of a poor ERS deployment. Ricciardo has improved his time. Norris is looking pretty safe to me. But we've got to make sure that we don't do that again in Q3. So, let's have a look. Ricciardo dropping into the danger zone here. Not panicking just yet because he is going faster. Can he find enough pace to squeeze ahead of Alonso? He has to find literally 100th of a second. So all he has to find to get himself, for the first time this season, for Ricciardo, the first time for him, into Q3. Can he do it as he comes round the final bend? Pedal to the metal. He crosses the line. He does. Look at that. He finds a 10th. Just over a 10th, I think. So Bottas improved as well. That puts Alonso into elimination. Won't be happy about that in his home race, will he? No siree. His teammate Ocon gets through in 8th position. So, yeah. When Ricciardo makes it to Q3, bless him, you know the car's made a step forward. Let's be honest, because he's not made it into Q3 yet, and it's the first time. So clearly a byproduct of a better car. So yeah, 7th and 9th, very happy with that. If we can get that in Q3, we will be over the moon. So without further ado, we've got to be careful here, because remember the strategy. Remember the strategy. Could be 2 softs, 1 medium. So we don't want to be taking too much life out of the softs. So with our first run in Q3, with both cars, we're going to use a used set of softs and leave our second set of softs for our second flying lap, where we know for certain we're going to get a clear track. So first set of softs, scrubbed softs for Ricciardo, same again for Lando, using those used ones, and we'll use a second set for the race. We'll have 2 brand new sets of mediums for the race, just in case we want to use 2 sets. But don't forget, I'm saying all this, and we know it's going to be raining. Do you know what? Screw it. Screw it. What the hell am I saying? It's going to be raining. Use both sets of softs. We're only going to be using them for a couple of laps. So here we go. Q3, live from Barcelona.
Radio check, please, Lando.
And yeah, we'll send out.
Yeah, all good.
We'll send out Ricciardo
Track should be green.
first. Right about now, we will just wait a little bit longer with Lando, and we'll see what their first runs are like. Okay, folks. Daniel given the full juice here. DRS open, ERS deployed, full push for his first qualifying run. A clear track, just about, as he puts pedal to the metal and will be the first person to set a time in Q3. Focusing on Lando, making sure that we don't cock him up again. Okay, full speed ahead. There we go. Okay, and we'll just pause it here because don't want to miss a beat. Don't want to miss a trick. Maximum pace, so he'll deploy here and deploy round the turn. Maximum deployment and boof, cross the line, full pace. Let's see what he does. Right, so here is Ricciardo coming into the DRS zone of the back straight. Foot down. Heavy braking here. Pretty sharp left-hander. And this is the more technical part of the circuit. Sweeping and long right-handed turn there. And this is where the track altered. This chicane wasn't originally here. was you can see the outline of the old circuit there. They used to just come round that fast sweeping right-hander, double right-hander it used to be. But anyway, Ricciardo sets a 1:19.2, which is his fastest qualifying time of the day so far, I think. And he's 2 tenths ahead of the Alpha of Bottas. That's a pretty decent first run. Norris, let's see what he does. He's coming around the same technical sector now. Clear air. 90 degree right. 90 degree left. 90 degree right again. We've got a yellow flag in sector 3. Could compromise our lap, or have we just passed it? I think we passed it. I think it's behind us. It looks like it was Verstappen. Could tell from the mini-map. So his first run has been compromised.
That's the last thing they'll have wanted.
Indeed it is, but we're ahead of that, thankfully. And Lando Norris crosses the line, 2 tenths ahead of Ricciardo. Now, every single... We have completely forgot to harvest with Ricciardo. He won't get a decent second run. I've done it again, haven't I? Done it again. There's always a bloody cock-up with me, I'm telling you. There's always a damn cock-up.
Okay, keep looking after the tyre.
Okay, understood.
Okay, we'll see if he gets a decent run. It's not going to have enough deployment, I don't think. Okay, so what was I saying? I was basically saying that throughout the entirety of all of the sessions, Daniel has been about 2 tenths of a second per qualifying run slower than Lando. Every qualifying run, about 2 tenths behind. Both of them have pretty decent car setups. I think Daniel's was 100%, Lando's was 97%. They've all got their track optimization and car part optimization where it needs to be. So, yeah, Daniel is just not on the same pace as Lando today. I mean, he's always been behind Lando pretty much every race of the season. But past couple of races, he's been, qualifying, we're talking almost like a tenth, less than a tenth. In the race, Imola, Miami, he stuck to the back of him like glue for long periods of the race. I've got a feeling this one he's going to struggle. Don't know what it is, but he's just not on it. Change of tyres, fresh set of softs going on. Same for Lando when he gets back into the pits, of course. Let's get those on. Okay, let's let everybody get themselves into order. And then eventually back out again. Sainz very late. But both Verstappen and Leclerc not qualifying very well on their first runs, so they've got to get this right. Okay, so everybody going out. Still got plenty of time. We'll just wait for Perez to clear the straight before we take out Ricciardo first. Lando second. I mean, you might think to yourself, well, why don't people do this all the time? And they do in real life do this all the time. Going out as late as possible. But there's an inherent risk in doing that, and there's 2 inherent risks of doing that actually. The first inherent risk of going out so late like this is that everybody has the same idea, and you end up in a situation which Monza 2 years ago springs to mind, where literally cars were tripping over each other because they wanted to be last over the line, especially in Monza because you get a slipstream and it's the quickest average speed on the calendar, which also didn't help. But yeah, people want to get out as late as possible, so you always end up in a situation where people are trying to get out late and they end up tripping over each other, and you could well end up not crossing the line in time. So that's the first risk. And the second risk is if you go out late and let's say we're going out now and Perez spins off, or even any of these cars pretty much spin off and go into the gravel and bring out a yellow flag. If you're in that same sector, you have to slow down, which means your entire run is done and compromised. So it's a balancing act between getting your first run in, not too early because the track isn't rubbered and the grip levels aren't as good as they will be later in the session, with going out too late and having this inherent squabble or risk being compromised by a yellow flag because somebody in front of you on a run
Okay, use the deploy.
has ended up in a
Gotcha.
some kind of misdemeanor.
If you can, push.
But anyway, I'm not giving you an on board this session so far, so we'll give you an on board with Danny Rick here in Barcelona. So here we go, sweet little long right-hander here, coming up to the end of the first timing sector of the lap. He's not faster. We have another long right-hander here, coming down to this sharp left. I don't know if these corners actually have names. They probably might do, but I haven't looked for this race, unfortunately. Otherwise, I could give you some more insight into the corner names, but I can't for this track at the moment. I will do for the race. Right-hander, sweeping right-hander, quite quick. This is another sector here. As you can see, there's a bit of tarmac up here. The old GP circuit used to go up, kind of up the side there, and then round and up. And the reason why they've removed that is for overtaking purposes, to make this into more of a straight. But the old GP circuit used to have a bit of a left-right kind of situation going on. We're talking in like 1994, 1994 and earlier. Before I think they changed that for 95, 96, I believe, making that into a straight. This section changed mid-2000s? Sure, you experts out there will correct me. But anyway, coming over the line, this is the order now. Leclerc is left to finish, and then the two McLarens. Will Ricciardo improve? No. But ninth. But Bottas is still to finish. Bottas is still to finish. Or is he? Didn't we go out last? How are cars behind us? I thought we went out last. Maybe Bottas didn't make it. And Leclerc. Leclerc hasn't made it either, has he? No. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, we are on a flying lap. Is he quicker? No. Norris isn't going to improve by the looks of it. He hasn't improved, so that's rather interesting that both the second runs didn't improve, because usually we do improve by about a tenth. But perhaps the track conditions weren't quite conducive to improving on the second runs. But there you go, folks. This is looking like the order of the grid for the Spanish Grand Prix. Leclerc, Ferrari on pole. No real surprise there, but the Red Bulls of Verstappen and Perez split the Ferraris, because Sainz is in fourth, the championship leader. The Mercedes of Russell in fifth, with Lando Norris season high qualifying position in sixth. Lewis Hamilton with a relatively poor qualifying there in seventh. Ocon in eighth. Daniel Ricciardo with his best qualifying of the season in ninth. And Valtteri Bottas bringing up the rear of the top 10. And the rest of the grid looks a little like that. So yeah, definitely a step forward for the McLarens with the introduction of their underfloor here for the Spanish Grand Prix, and we're mixing it up with the big boys, really. I mean, if you start pressing a Mercedes, even though they're not the Mercedes that they were in years gone by, still it's quite an achievement, considering we were initially touted to be the third worst car on the grid pre-season. So yeah, very good indeed. Very happy with that. And what we're going to do before I end this recording and record the race on a separate day,
and before we get down
look at the weather forecast.
Checks are being made.
Qualifying went well for McLaren, and they're set to start this race.
Shut up, Karun. Shut up. Right, okay. So here we go, folks. Here we go. This is it. The best qualifying that we've had of the season so far. And what is the weather forecast saying? Interesting. So we've got the start of the race in the dry, the middle of the race in the wet, then it dries, and then that. So we've got a bit of an interesting one. Clearly, going on a dry set of tyres that are going to last us more than 20 laps is going to be useful. But what tyre do we go on during this section? It looks like it's going to be a wet tyre situation. And then it's going to dry, 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 dry. So do we go from wets onto inters for this little bit, or do we stick it on the wets, even though they're not going to be the best tyre to be on around about here, and then just go on to dries? Interesting. Potter got the weather forecast and the strategy call in Miami right when it came to variable weather. Will he do the same here again in Barcelona? We're going to have to wait to see. But we know we're starting on dries. We know we're ending on dries. It's just that bit in the middle that's a little bit... What do we do? What do we do? Well, find out, well, for you guys, very shortly. But for me, it's going to be tomorrow, because I'm going to record this race tomorrow. So, yeah, see you very shortly for the race, where we're going to, of course, have a strategy that we're going to adjust on the fly. Okay, hello folks. Same video for you, new day for me, new attire, look at that. I'm not in a dressing gown. You must think I live in a dressing gown, and it's because I do. It's the winter time here, cost of living, the gas and electric bills are sky high, so you know, you've got to do what you can to keep the bills down. That involves turning the heating to a shorter period of the day and, you know, wearing a dressing gown to keep warm. Such are the times we live in. But no, it's I've got dressed, I've been out. It's 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning, which usually I would be in bed, but I had a couple of chores to do this morning. Take my mum to the hospital, do my Sunday duties, so I'm up and ready to crack on with today's race here. And I'm against the clock because I've got to get this session up today for you guys, being Saturday, and I've got 4 hours before I go out again, so I've got to edit the video, get it uploaded, etc. So without further ado, let's dive into the race. Might end up being a bit more of a heavily edited race to keep the timings down to allow me to get this up in time, but nonetheless we shall still have the crux of the action kept within. So here we are, strategy's done, rain is coming, let's start the Spanish Grand Prix. Is my microphone on mute?
There, lined up on
No.
the grid, under mostly sunny skies. And there's Lando Norris.
I can't remember where we qualified.
Top 10 position today,
6th,
but will they be able to capitalize
6th and
on
9th, I think it
it?
was.
And behind them, it's Ricciardo. With a top 10 position on the grid,
Hot coffee.
this race could really go either way for them.
I've been out, you
The
see,
teams are
so my
ready
hands
to
are
go.
freezing, even with gloves on. It's -3 outside.
One
Hot
of the
coffee.
oldest races on the
Like
Formula
nectar.
One calendar.
Okay, the lights are on. We're about to go here at Catalonia, and we're off and racing. And we'll stay on board with Lando Norris as the lead driver. Always gets the limelight. Poor Daniel doesn't get a look in, does he? But anyway, here we are, 6th position. Now we're going to get Russell up the inside of turn 1 here. Heavy braking zone, usually quite a few collisions. Occasionally here, oh, and he chops across us. But we maintain 6th position. No, we drop a position. We've got Hamilton on the outside. Let's have a look here. Hamilton trying around the outside.
That was good.
But he's kept the position. It looks like Ricciardo may have made up a position. Will we get to see it on the replay? Oh, what? Oh, that position may be lost here on the inside of this corner. I forgot to memorise the corner names, if there are any. But nonetheless, who gives a flying cahoot? We're up in at 8th position and battling Ocon, and he's now going up the inside of Hamilton here. He's fast sweeping left. On the right. Sweeping right on the come. Oh, he's ahead. Oh, is he ahead? Yes, he is. He's got his nose in front, but Hamilton's got the inside line. Down the back straight. Who is going to get into the heavy left-hand corner here? Heavy braking zone.
Good job so far.
Ooh, and Norris has got Russell.
Take a look now.
It's all kicking off here. Look at this.
Looking at Lando Norris.
Lando Norris up the inside of George Russell. Looks like the McLarens are taking it to the Mercedes. The fists are out.
Excellent work from them.
We're taking no prisoners here on the first lap.
It's safe to say that went down.
Potter and co are ecstatic. So, yeah, Lando up to 5th position and on the back end of the Ferrari. Best of the rest right now. Ricciardo has settled ahead of Hamilton. And without further ado, I think we'll probably start to turn these engine modes and stuff down very shortly. But let's enjoy our first lap. Oh, look at that. Hamilton's got back ahead.
Okay, we don't want to lose too
Got
much
back
time.
ahead. Look at that, the battle is on. Who's pulling out of the slipstream? It's Norris.
Mercedes moved up a place.
Let's have a look, we missed
Let's
this
see
one.
what happened there.
So how did he
Watch
get...
this.
Oh, he swept
Lewis
round
Hamilton
the...
involved in this
He
one.
swept round the outside of the first chicane and into the second turn of the chicane, and he got back ahead. I don't expect Daniel to beat the Mercedes, to be honest, in the long run,
They
but
get past
if we can be best of the rest outside of the top 3 teams ahead of the Alpines, that will be a good race. But don't forget, we've got variable weather, and that can, of course, mean opportunity. Where there is variation, opportunity awaits. If you're a trader, you'll know that mantra. There's most profit to be made when there's variability, kind of ad hoc moments, on times of uncertainty. That's when there is opportunity to be had to make the biggest profits. Same here. Variation is that kind of spanner in the works, and if you pounce on that opportunity, there can be rich rewards. But also, because of the volatility, there could be catastrophic losses too. So you've got to be really careful. Right, it's time for us to get down into a rhythm at this point.
Keep looking after the tyre.
Burning through all of our ERS and stuff, and we're making a move on the Ferraris here. How dare us? The gall of Lando Norris daring to challenge a Ferrari here. Challenge a Ferrari is about to overtake a damn Ferrari. Let's see it on the external camera. We're battling with Sainz. We're ahead of Sainz right now.
And DRS is now enabled.
Talk about an underfloor.
Yeah, it was good.
So it's an underfloor of a miracle.
McLaren gain a position.
We are into P4 here. I mean, I don't expect to finish up here, but the fact that we're mixing it up with the Ferraris at the start of the race is definitely a serious forward step, it would seem, for the McLaren boys here. As Ricciardo settles behind the Mercedes of Hamilton, I can't see him passing at the moment, but we will have DRS, but of course the DRS train is already here, so it's just going to be maybe a position where we maintain our formation, but we'll see. We'll go for another couple of laps before we cut away to our first break, but Lando Norris is just about eking out ahead of Sainz, but we don't have the DRS on Perez, so this is naturally going to be a situation where we're going to struggle to defend, unfortunately, but we'll enjoy it while it lasted. We were battling with the Ferrari. We're still battling with the Ferrari. Lando is not giving this up without a fight, and fair play. Let's take our hats off to him, because he's making Sainz work for his position, and that's all we can bloody well ask. We ain't giving you it easy, and we're going to have DRS down this home straight too. So this could be a very good opportunity. We're not going to play around with the engine modes. I don't expect us to be keeping up with the Ferrari for too long. I could be wrong, but we're not going to micromanage this situation just yet. And the situation that we might need to micromanage a little bit is Ricciardo is falling away from Russell, so the DRS will be removed unless we can catch back up. But we've got this very quick Alpine of Ocon all over the back of us, and he will have DRS on us now, so we could technically defend this a little bit, try to keep on the back of Russell to protect us, but we've naturally closed the gap down to 0.7 seconds, so we'll just maintain and monitor. But yeah, as things currently stand, as you can see, we're just about settling into our positions. We've got Norris in 5th, we've got Ricciardo in 8th, and let's not forget also that we've got plenty of tyre life. The rain is coming round about here, which means we've got lots of tyre life available, so we technically speaking can afford to take a little bit of life out of the tyres, which we're going to start to do now.
Use the pace now.
Use the pace. Start to take a little bit of life out of the tyres, enjoy a bit of freedom to push on those tyres, which will help us to hopefully keep the Mercedes at bay with Norris and keep Ocon at bay with Ricciardo. But yeah, we're in our rhythm, we're in our routine, we're on lap 5, we're going to cut to the next piece of the action. But before we go, we've got Leclerc in first position, battling with arch rival Max Verstappen. Side by side they go. This is going to be a battle that rages on for quite some time, so we'll keep an eye on that one. Perez is settled into 3rd position. We've got then the second Ferrari of Carlos Sainz, the championship leader, still at this time in 4th. Norris, surprise package, up in 5th, with Hamilton within DRS range. We'll see what happens there. Russell in 7th and Ricciardo is in 8th, with Ocon just about tagging along to that little train, and Alonso is dropping back in 10th. There's your top 10, but before we cut away, let's see if the DRS of Hamilton will take him past Norris. Not on this straight, it's too short, but we're more concerned with the possibility of an overtake on the home straight. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see, we're coming down to the chicane now, the sharp 90-degree right, left, right complex. As we put the pedal to the metal with Lando Norris, we could use some modes here to kind of help us out, but we're not gonna. We're just concentrating on that rain. We'll get any positions made up, we'll get time made up with a Potter strategic masterpiece, hopefully. But look at that! DRS is not doing it for Lewis Hamilton down that straight. It's not doing it for him, is it? Okay, so there you go, folks. Join me again very soon when something exciting happens. Okay, so it's lap 8. Nothing really which is happening. It's positions as we were, but I just thought I'd bring you up to speed with the tyre strategies, because we were thinking about going onto the softs ourselves because of when the rain comes, but it would mean that we would have to be a bit careful on the soft tyres because of the degradation. Sainz has gone for the softs, as has Hamilton, and look at the wear difference. We're pushing our tyres, and I don't know what they're doing. He's doing with his, but he's got a little more tyre wear, and his tyres will start to drop off more per lap because it's a softer compound. So after another 4 laps or so, I reckon he's going to start to struggle. I mean, he's struggling to pass now, but even struggle more as his times come down in comparison to ours due to the increased degradation of the softs. So we might be able to even make Hamilton suffer a little bit if he starts to hold up his teammate Russell. Ricciardo might be able to pounce there. So yeah, Sainz and Hamilton risking it on the softs. Ocon is on the softs behind Ricciardo, which is why he's probably doing much better than Alonso is. But again, those softs will start to drop off quicker than the mediums, and he'll probably start to become detached from Ricciardo. He's already not harassing him quite so closely. So interesting tyre strategy there. Thought I'd bring up to speed with that. But it's still positions as we were. We're in a bit of a routine, so again, back when something happens. Okay, so lap 11, just a very quick update. I did push a little bit with Norris to break the DRS of Hamilton, and we have. In the meantime, Hamilton's tyres are indeed dropping off like we anticipated, and now his teammate Russell on the mediums has passed him. So Russell is going to pass Hamilton, whose soft tyres clearly are dropping in performance, which means that Ricciardo is brought into play here against Hamilton. Russell is 1.3 behind Norris. Norris has broke the DRS of the Mercedes, but maybe Russell might be able to close that gap. But for now, Norris looking comfortable, Hamilton struggling, and now Ricciardo is going to hopefully make an attack. Let's see what happens in due course. Okay, folks, welcome back. It's lap 18. Nothing much has happened. Verstappen and Leclerc still battling like I said they would be for quite some time. Norris is 5 seconds behind Sainz, but has managed to keep a steady 2-second gap, stretching it out almost 2.5 seconds ahead of the Mercedes. So on pace, Norris is faster than the Mercedes. This is absolutely fantastic news. Ricciardo, who has been about 0.2 of a second per lap slower than his teammate during qualifying, is indeed slower in the race, but nonetheless he's still just about clinging on to the back of Hamilton here. But the reason why I've come back is because we had the call. We had the call from the pit crew. The engineer has said that rain is on the way. We can see here 4 minutes until the rain starts to fall. Light rain initially, getting up to heavy rain by about lap 26, 27. The question is, as I said at the before the race started, when I last recorded, it's going to be the decision of to whether we go to inters and wets that's going to be crucial here. It's going to be a crucial decision here. This bit, I mean, looks like a wet weather situation to me, rather than inters. And then the second decision is, we've got potentially up to 10 laps of drying track. Do we switch to inters? If we go into full wets, do we switch to inters at some point? Because the full wets might struggle to perform in the drying conditions. It's an interesting situation to arise, Potter's going to have a choice to make. And this is the thing, the further forward you are, the less opportunity you get to see what the others are doing. One of the pitfalls of being the leading cars, and if you're the very lead car, sometimes these kind of situations can be tricky because you're the one that's in the front of the pack and you blink first, and sometimes it's right and sometimes it's wrong. The others can react to what you're doing. It's the pitfalls of being in the lead, but hey, I'd rather have that decision-making dilemma and be in first position, to be honest with you, than at the back of the grid, let's be fair. But yeah, we're still as we are, but we're waiting for that rain to come. Might as well stay with me, folks, because at some point this decision will need to be made quite swiftly. So Verstappen, Leclerc, hammer and tongs, they go at it. Perez dropping back 5 seconds behind. Sainz is a further 8 seconds behind that, and Norris 6 seconds behind the second Ferrari. But still maintaining that gap with Russell, doing a good job. Hamilton, I'm surprised, has kept on the back of Russell with his soft tyres, which seriously must be going off now compared to the mediums. And Ricciardo just about clinging on to Hamilton. In fact, as we can clearly see, he's now a lot closer to the back of Hamilton at this point, and Hamilton has indeed dropped Russell out of the DRS, so his tyres now must be really crying out for help. So we might have a chance to pass Hamilton here on the straight. Let's take a look with Ricciardo. We are off board, but nonetheless, he's giving it some juice down the home straight here. He might get him. He might get him. He's got his nose in front before turn one, and there we go. Danny Rick has passed Hamilton.
Nicely done, Daniel. Nicely done.
Nicely done indeed, sir. And now can we pull away? That's the question.
And McLaren with a great overtake.
We saw it live. Oh, the rain's coming. It's just started. Look at that. Straight away, poof. The rain comes down. It's hammering down already. What do we do? Where's Verstappen and Leclerc? This is what we need to look out for. This is what we need. What tyres are they going on? Are they going into the pits now or going to wait another lap? Right, weather's coming. Is pitting now. And once again, the Ferraris delay their pit stop. Oh, what tyres is he putting on? I'm tempted to go with whatever he's going to go for.
We have reports of slightly more rain around the circuit.
It's got to be full
Only
wets.
light rain.
Oh, it's got to be full wets. He's going on to full wets. He's the only car coming into full wets. Going on full wets is better than being on the dries at this point, so we're going to have to double stack the cars, but I think Norris has got enough of a gap for this double stack to go smoothly. So it's not going to... The water levels are saying it's going to stay about to here and then go a little bit wetter. Now, it's only 1.3 now, which is only into levels of wetness. Oh, but look, the rain is going to get heavy for a little while. It's got to be wets. We've got to roll the dice. I split the strategies last... Did I split this? No, I didn't split the strategy last time. I went with my gut. My gut said inters, and I was quite right. My gut is saying wets this time. So do you know what? These situations, trust your gut. Trust your gut. We're going full wets here with both cars. I think it is the decision to make. Let's go for the pit call here. Full wets for Lando and full wets for Daniel. Coming in this lap has got to be optimal. Going out another lap on dry tyres, especially worn dry tyres, is suicidal. Suicidal. So let's take a look at Norris. Sainz is coming into the bit. Oh, we've got sector 2. We've got sector 2 issue here. Somebody's off. That could be bloody Leclerc on his dry tyres. Look at us all creeping round here.
Sounds like someone's
Oh, it's
locked up.
Vettel. Everybody's creeping round Leclerc. Big mistake. He's going to suffer big style. So is Perez, trundling around in this dry, on these dry tyres in this rapidly wet track. Look at that. Now we're above 2 millimeters, so that's definitely Inter's weather. 4 millimeters is the situation. Look at that. Just as he's leaving, we arrive. An absolutely picture-perfect double-stacking situation. As one leaves, the other's just arriving. The tyres go on both, and when you see it live and you see it in motion, it is literally poetry in motion when that happens. A very slick operation there by the pit crew, and we come out in 7th and 8th. Sainz,
Did somebody spin out there?
he's put on full wets as well. So everybody that's pitted so far has gone into full wets. So I think we've made it looked like full wets to me, but let's have a look at this. So look at that. Sainz passing Ocon. Ocon trundling painfully slow around. Anybody that stayed out an extra lap here is going to absolutely find themselves in a bad position as the track is getting towards that wet condition now. Sector 2, somebody's gone off. Something's happened. What's happened? What's happened? Will we see it? And look how quickly we're gaining on Ocon. Remember, Ocon was right on the back of Ricciardo. Dry tyres, he's struggling. He's lucky he didn't beach it, but he's just, yeah, definitely time lost there. Plus the time lost for staying out an extra lap on them dry tyres. We're going to be well ahead of Russell now. We're going to be well ahead of Ocon now. We could be pushing for a podium because Leclerc's staying out on the dry tyres too, as is Perez. And we weren't a million miles behind Perez, to be honest, only 5 seconds. So he's going to have lost more than 5 seconds here, I feel. So let's take a look at Perez, who's now in the pit, trundling around like he's on an ice rink. It's so slippery. We might pass both of them because Leclerc's only just come into the pits. Verstappen streaking off down the straight. He's lost so much time. The blundering strategists at Ferrari have struck again, and the only thing saving Perez and Leclerc from us passing them is us being tucked up behind an extremely slow Ocon here. We're suffering. We can't pass. We can't pass. Get round him, man. Oh, it's painfully slow as we were held up by people on dry tyres. It's saved Perez from being passed by us. We probably lost a good few seconds there, and this is another issue that people have complained about in this game, is that when you're on the differing tyres, you're on the wet tyres and the AI are on the dry.
Ocon has also pitted.
The ability to pass them is ridiculously difficult for some strange reason. But in real life, you glide round them because they're going so slow. In this game, oh no, you can't seem to get past. Oh, we're stuck behind. Get bloody past them, will you? And it's cost us. It's cost us a bit of time. It's cost us a potential pass on Perez as Danny, Rick and Norris are now battling with each other. We'll let them go at it. There's no team orders here. There's no team orders, but it's Norris has probably suffered behind Ocon there. But yeah, Hamilton on the full wets is caught to the back of us. He pitted at the same lap, but Alonso full wet 7 seconds. So look at that. Russell suffering because of that decision, and Ocon suffering too. Staying out an extra lap, really catastrophic. So 5th and 6th now is the current position. Hamilton is our biggest threat. But nonetheless, we'll see what happens. But yeah, we're going to be on full wets for some time. These tyres do last for some time. They can't quite go to the end of the race, but we don't expect them to. The next question is going to be, what do we do at kind of round about this point? Do we hang it out on the wets and go straight into the dries? Do we come on for an interstint for a short time? We'll have to wait to see. But as we currently are, we've got Norris, who's now pulled out a 1.5 second gap on his teammate in these wet conditions. The track is definitely wet. Good call, Potter, once again. Ricciardo is ahead of Hamilton, who isn't actually making that much of an impression. So that's looking pretty good. Alonso seems to be gaining on Hamilton a little bit, it would seem. But yeah, comfortably in 5th and in 6th, looking good. And yeah, I don't think there's going to be too much excitement at this point, so we may end up cutting until that variable weather starts to change again and the track begins to dry. That's going to be the next flashpoint of this race. But between then and now, we're going to have a very pretty much driving around the track type situation. So I'll spare you that, and I'm also on a tight time budget, so cutting again to when something dramatic happens.
Let's take a look at
okay, folks, Hamilton has had a lock-up.
Lewis Hamilton involved in this.
Look at that, he's off, which gives Daniel Ricciardo much more breathing room here, because he was about 3 seconds behind Ricciardo was Hamilton, and now we can clearly see that's affected him because he's now 9 seconds, 10 seconds behind Ricciardo. That lock-up costing him 7-8 seconds there. So Ricciardo with a much more comfortable cushion to Hamilton. dropping away slightly from his own teammate. Norris is in a comfort zone of his own, can't catch Perez, but is pulling away from his teammate. 5th and 6th looking very comfortable right now. We're on lap 30 of 66, still very heavy rain. Tyres, even though we're pushing them, have got lots of life left in them. We're just waiting for this kind of crossover point, and I got a sneaking suspicion unless something else dramatic happens, we'll be cutting to that point in the race to see what Potter's strategy will achieve next. Join us soon. Oh no, folks, it's lap 31. It's lap 31, and Daniel Ricciardo has done a Hamilton. Daniel Ricciardo has gone off on the same corner, and he's going to have put himself back into the clutches of Hamilton. He didn't have to do that. How has he managed to do that? He should have been comfortable. Look at that, Hamilton now gaining time back on Daniel. Daniel now obviously much further away from his teammate, but that's put him right back into the clutches of the Mercedes. A mistake there from Daniel. He went off 3 times in practice. I didn't mention that before, but he went off 3 times in practice. Nothing major, just little lockups and a minor spin, but clearly, and with a pace difference to his teammate, perhaps old Barcelona, not one of his strong suits, who knows, this circuit. But yeah, bit of an incident, but nothing to be too concerned about, as long as he doesn't do it again. Oh, Sainz really gone far into the gravel there. Is he back on the track? He is, but look at that. Perez is right on the back of him now, so Sainz having a lockup. Lots of lockups in this wet weather. I spares you some of the lower level lockups from the likes of Albon and Vettel. But yeah, major lockup for Sainz. Leclerc has passed Sainz, by the way, after Leclerc's bungled strategy. And look at that, as I'm speaking to, we've got another lockup. Because it's the wet weather, drivers are struggling here. Somebody's run wide now. It's Lance Stroll, we don't really care about that. But yeah, Sainz is struggling a little bit. Perez is on the back of him after that lockup. Norris just cruising around in 5th. Danny Ricks in his routine in 6th. Once again pulling away from Hamilton. As I said before, we definitely have the pace on the Mercedes on this track. Definitely have the pace. This is very promising signs indeed. But as you can clearly see, the track is now drying. We're in that kind of phase now where the track is drying. So what are we going to do? I think it's last it, hang it with the wets, and then go on to the dries at the right time. I don't think coming in for a stint of Nienters is going to be profitable. We won't make that time up quick enough to make that a viable strategy, so I think it's straight onto the dries at the precise correct moment that will be the optimal strategy. So we'll cut to when we're going to do that. I'm reckoning another sort of 5 laps. Remember, about 42, 43 will be the time. 41, 42, 43. Actually, maybe about like 45, 46 might be the time. But it's not going to be long, so yeah. Hold on to your hats, folks. This could be a critical decision. Okay, we've got Carlos Sainz coming into the pits here. This is a very early stop. Is he going to put a set of inters on? This was a potential strategy that I was thinking about. Doing a short stint on the... Yes, he's doing it. He's doing it. I don't think it's going to be a strategy that's going to work. I don't think there's enough laps of inter-type weather or inter-type dampness to make this pull off. He's going to have to basically make up 24 seconds from the pit stop deficit to make this a break-even strategy. Lots of people doing it though. Lots of people doing it. Which is making me a bit nervous, but I'm going to stick with my gut instinct. My gut instinct is this is not going to be a thing that pays. I think we'll have enough pace on the wets to be able to just stick it out until we get to the dry transition. If it's the wrong decision, I'll hold my hands up. But with both drivers, I'm thinking wets. Even the leader's doing it. This was my debate because we've got. I mean. This was my debate. We're definitely into the damp weather situation. Oh, This is what clearly what my debate was. I mentioned it at the start of the strategy. Do we go on to a stint with the inters at this point in the race, or do we hang it out on the wets and go into the dry straight away? If we're looking at interweather, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, potentially 10 laps of interweather. 2 seconds a lap faster than wets? Possibly. Possibly. It might be the strategy, you know. It might be the strategy. I mean, ultimately, we have to defend against cars around us, and cars around us are pitting for inters, so even if we cover those cars off, we should be okay. We've got a bit of time. We've got a bit of time. Leclerc, we'll see what Leclerc does. If the Ferraris even decide to come in, and I know the great bunglers of strategy, then we'll have to bite the bullet. Yeah, if they think it's interweather, then we must be thinking to ourselves, bloody hell, Ferrari think it's interweather. They're following the crowd, but then by jolly, it's probably it is interweather. We know it's interweather, but whether or not the strategy would pay in the long run, going on to a set of inters for just 10 laps, I think in the grand scheme of things, given that most of our rivals are doing it, we'll do it. With both cars. We'll take the conservative approach. The less conservative approach would try to hang it out on the wets, hoping that the inters can't make up 24, 25 seconds in time in the 10 laps of drying track. I think 2 seconds a lap on a damp track with semi-used wets versus fresh inters is doable, which means that going on to inters is probably the safer option. So inters with both cars.
And where box is that?
Following the crowd. But I think it is the right call, in hindsight. I think it is the right call. I should, if I was to be a gambling man, sacrificing Ricciardo a little bit, I could have tried to keep him out on wets just to try to see the difference between the two strategies. Would have been some good data for future circumstances in future races, same circumstances, future races, but I don't want to chuck a sixth position away. No, it's too valuable. If he was in like 10th, I'd salvage it, but not when he's in sixth. It's just too much of a risk. So no double stack issues. There's a massive enough gap between the two of them. So playing it safe, going on to inters, and Norris will come out basically as he was in 5th position, nice and steady, nice and comfortable. No cars around him to worry about, and it's a short interstint, so we could completely go onto the massive push order, the attack order, but I don't want to do it. We've got an increased risk of spinning in the wet. We'll just keep it as it is. We could even turn him down to balanced at this point. It's standard. Reduce that risk of spinning simply because we have got lots of gap. Ricciardo less so to Hamilton though, so we'll push. We'll put wrong way around. There we go. That way around. I'm gonna have to swap the drivers' cars. I don't know if you can do that actually, mid-season or whatever. Swap the cars around. I would prefer Norris to be car 1 as the faster driver, but hey. So it's as we are. Plenty of space for Norris. Ricciardo's still got a decent enough gap to Hamilton. We're still in 5th and 6th. We've followed the crowd. Everybody on inters now? Yeah. When everybody's on inters, us being on the wets trundling about would have looked foolish. So, yeah. I think we've done good there. So, next strategy call will be to come onto the dry tyres. And when that's going to happen, probably in another 10 laps or so. So, I can't see much happening between now and then. So, let's see what happens when the track gets to that transitional point. Okay, so race leader Max Verstappen having a little bit of a moment. Thankfully, it was just on the tarmac part of the runoff area, not the gravel, so he wouldn't have lost too much time there. But, yeah, some people just maybe losing a bit of concentration, just snatching a bit on the drying conditions. But, yeah, we're getting close to the transitional point of the dries now, so it won't be much longer. I thought lap 50, perhaps I was being a bit optimistic there with how long we're going to be on these inters. Maybe it's going to be as short as like 45. We'll see. But the track is drying, and anything less than 2mm is the kind of 50-50 area, I think. So we'll see. But yeah, back again soon. Okay, so we're on lap 45. The track is now getting to less than 1mm of damp. Ricciardo has got a 5-6 second gap to Hamilton. Norris has got a 10-second gap to his teammate. So Norris can afford to come in a little bit earlier, take the risk of coming in a little bit earlier. The track is now dry, so because he's got a bit more time to play with. So we're going to come in, pit options. We're going to go into the soft tyres, which will take us to the end of the race quite clearly here. And I think we'll do it with Ricciardo too. I think now is the perfect time to come in, to be honest with both of you. The track is still a little bit damp, but we're at that crossover. So soft tyres going on for both cars at this point. I think now is the time to get it done. It could be a little bit premature with Daniel, because don't forget Hamilton is a little bit closer to the back of Ricciardo, but I don't think pitting now is going to cost us 5 seconds, to be honest with you. So early adopters onto the dries, the McLaren boys.
Daniel pit lane.
Early adopters.
Good.
Maybe a little bit too early. We'll see. We'll see. But I'd rather get on them now. The person that's going to be at risk will be Ricciardo. So we'll see. When Hamilton comes in, we'll see. He was 6 seconds. When he comes in and gets his stop, we'll see how close he is to Ricciardo to see whether or not we've come in too early. Because if he's further back than 6 seconds, then clearly the call to come in at this precise point was correct. I think it is. An extra lap now on these dry tyres. I think these dry tyres will be quicker than the intermediates. I've got a sneaking suspicion here. And of course we can be aggressive on these tyres. Actually, we don't need to be aggressive. And as we can see from this grid here, actually, we don't have a massive amount of play on them. In fact, have we made a cock-up here? To the end of this race, they ain't going to last, according to this graph. With Daniel. Why is Daniel's tyres so hideous compared to Lando's tyres? Because he's pushing? In fact, let's conserve with both of these guys on their tyres. I'm a little bit concerned about their tyres. So we can go like that with both of them. Oh! See, look at that, Daniel Ricciardo passing Russell, who's on Inters, and we're passing him quite easily there, so that clearly tells me that the dry tyre is faster right now. So I think this is a good decision. I think we're going to get a lot more than 6 seconds gap to Hamilton here.
Lando
Yeah.
pitted.
Like, Daniel's tyres, we're going to come off the cliff here, but then his saying, no, it'll be fine. Same tyre, put on at the same lap, same wear, completely different strategy grids. But yeah, I think we've got enough of a gap to go conserve here with both of their tyres and be perfectly fine. Look at that, Hamilton is only just in the pit now. Ricciardo coming round onto the pit straight. Definitely more than 6 seconds by the time Hamilton comes out, I think. It's quite close actually, a bit closer than I would have thought, but yeah, we're definitely going to be more than 6 seconds. He's not even out of the pit lane yet, he's still going, trundling down, It's, yeah, definitely more than 6 seconds, look at that, trundle, still not up to full speed. Ricciardo well ahead now. And let's see that gap, probably what, 9-10 seconds I would have thought. Yeah, so we've made 3 seconds basically by coming in the lap earlier than Hamilton there. So yeah, once again another masterstroke from the Potter Racing team, formerly known as McLaren, Phoenix Lights Racing Team rather. Yes, look at that, comfortable as you like, still in 5th and 6th, and strategy has been pretty much on point again. You know, Ferrari real life, get Potter and Co in, they'll sort your problems out. Right, anyway, we've got how many laps? 16, 17, 18 laps to go. We're nursing the tyres to the end. I'm just concerned. Everybody's on a set of softs. Set of softs should easily make it to the end. I was going to see if anybody had put a medium tyre on, but no. Soft tyre to me is the right tyre to be on. We've got also ERS that we can use to defend if needs be, but the gap should be more than enough for us to bring these cars back in 5th and 6th. An absolutely fantastic achievement that will be if we manage to achieve it. The only cars ahead of us, the two fastest cars on the grid, the Ferraris and the Red Bulls, which are a step obviously above everybody else. So to be best of the rest after just an upgrade of a front wing and an upgrade of a floor, that, my friends, is quite the turnaround. Mr. Potter shaking up the team to such an extent that they've got their act together, you know. But anyway, we'll cut to the end of the race. We'll cut to the final lap, probably, of us bringing it home, unless some drama happens, because at this point, there shouldn't be any. But you never know in Formula One. What did Maurice Walker used to say? Something, I can't remember what they say. Something usually happens. Oh, what was that? Forget it. What did he had a saying about that, about Formula One? Anything can happen. I think it says anything can happen in Formula One, and it usually does. I think that's it. But anyway, I'll be back soon. Okay, folks, I have made a little bit of a blunder here with Daniel Ricciardo. I had him on push and completely forgot I had him on push. And his fuel is looking very critical, because can we make up 0.3 kilos of fuel in 6 laps? I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. I might be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but we're fuel critical with Daniel Ricciardo because I forgot to take him off push. Nothing like a bit of late minute drama to spice things up, is there? Oh, right, back soon when Ricciardo parks it because he's out of fuel, throwing away valuable points. Right, folks, we're back. It's lap 65. We've just given Daniel Ricciardo a little bit of deployment. Thankfully, the fuel situation is looking a bit more rosy now. After a bit of conserve, we've put him on aggressive on the tyres just to keep off Hamilton, because Hamilton got down to 3.5 seconds. That gap came down. Speaking of which, it looks like Verstappen, on pure pace, has just lapped Lewis Hamilton, and he's not far behind lapping Daniel Ricciardo, but I don't think he'll quite get there. But such is the pace of that Red Bull being driven by Verstappen today that he's lapping up to and including potentially 6th position, which is quite an achievement, I must admit. But yeah, Norris just is in cruise control mode. A very dull race for poor Norris, really, but because he's got cars ahead of him quite far, cars behind him quite far. It's been that for the entire race. But I mean, when you get 5th position, best of the rest, a dull race, I suppose. Suppose you'll take it, wouldn't you? Really. But yeah, 2 laps to go, including the one we're on. Ricciardo's ERS is now empty, because we have pushed it to kind of get that gap back to Hamilton, but we should be fine. Last lap for Max Verstappen. If he laps Ricciardo, it'll be our last lap, but it doesn't look like he will, so we'll have to do another lap after this one. But we'll take it. We'll watch the boys come on home after their hard work. Choking here. But yeah, Norris just ambling about. It's right on board as Norris brings it round on his penultimate lap. Hopefully we don't watch him crash and burn live here after a glorious effort, must be said. Raking heavily down here. Down to 3rd gear. Left-hander, the long right-hander. So it's it's quite a tricky corner, that. It's more difficult than it looks. It's one of those that's hitting the apex is not quite as straightforward as it might first appear. It's not an obvious apex point. It's more of a sweeping kind of affair. But anyway, that's a technical term. Straight down, pedal to the metal. Final lap.
This is the last lap.
Last lap for Lando. Has Ricciardo been lapped? No. Verstappen hasn't caught us, so it's last lap for Ricciardo too, as we'll watch the race leader cross the line. 1st position for Max Verstappen, and I believe that was his 2nd win in a row after winning in Miami. Has the Red Bull made a step forward?
over the finish line.
The Ferraris were the ones to beat in the first 4 races, or first 3 races, whatever it's been, but the Verstappen and the Red Bull boys have got their act together, and they've got the Ferraris on the ropes over the past couple of races. Look at that, comfortable win, 14 seconds. Strategy was the issue, came in too late for the dry tyres. Quelle surprise. For the the first interchange, or the full wets, the first change onto the wets came far too late for Leclerc, and was on the back foot ever since. But here is Lando Norris as we ride on board once again, the long sweeping right. The crowd there on the left, you can see the yep, here we go, final chicane. I started to Google why they put the chicane in rather than having the double right, quick right succession. I don't know. Safety reasons? It's not to promote overtaking, clearly. Anyway, there we go. Lando Norris has crossed the line in P5, our highest position. We didn't finish. We finished 6th last time, I believe, right? Highest position of the season. And here comes Daniel Ricciardo for certainly his highest position of the season finish, finishing in 6th position, 5th and 6th, ahead of both of the Mercedes. An absolutely fantastic day in the office, an absolutely fantastic haul of points. Damn right you better celebrate, my friends. This is a team effort. The pit stops were slick, the double stack on the first change. Everything has gone according to plan for the McLaren boys today. Qualifying was grand. It's been a fantastic race weekend as we pick up those points. So here is the final classification. Max Verstappen, 2nd win in a row, 1st position, calm and comfortable as you like. Leclerc, strategy let him down, finishing in 2nd, fastest lap of the race, an extra point there for him. Perez finishing in 3rd with Sainz in 4th. And look at that, double McLaren finish, 5th and 6th ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Alonso having a good race, making up 3 positions, finishing in 8th. George Russell dropping 4. Poor race in the office for him. Again, strategy will have affected him. He said an extra lap on those dries when it came to the wet transition. And look at that, Guan Yu Zhou in the Alpha. The Alphas have definitely taken a step backwards here. They were the best of the rest behind the Mercedes in the early parts of the season, and now they're slower than the McLarens and potentially the Alpines too. But a good 10th for him in tricky conditions. As the championship looks for the drivers, Sainz still clinging on just about to top spot. Leclerc bearing down, and Verstappen closed the gap with back-to-back wins, but it's still a long way to go in the season, and it's still all to play for. It's going to be one of these 3 that win it. I think Perez is playing second fiddle to Verstappen pretty much, and yeah, this is where the championship winner will more than likely come from. Hamilton 5th, Lando up to 6th position, only 9 points behind. Can we get a 5th place finish in the Drivers' Championship as best of the rest? I'd like to say so. We've got more upgrades coming, rear wing on the way, more floors and more front wings down the line that will experience, will benefit from an expertise boost from the first design that was used an intense design focus. So yeah, I've got high hopes of finishing quite promisingly by the end of the season. We'll have to see how that fares for next season too. There's the rest of the drivers. Anyway, Constructors. McLaren consolidating 4th position in that Constructors, gaining in fact on Mercedes by 10 points. We can't think of a 3rd place finish, can we? Can we? That would be ridiculous. But Ferrari well ahead of the Red Bulls, who have made 9 points, but they're going to have to make more than that in the future if they expect to win that Constructors title. Williams and Aston on nil point. Development point for Daniel. Okay, we'll drop that development point in the next session, I think. So there we go. Let's see if I can edit this video down into at least an hour, or at most an hour, I would say, to get this up in time before I go on my little jaunt this afternoon. But anyway, next race is going to be the rather glamorous, but often rather dull, because you can't pass on this damn track, Monaco GP, where we'll see what happens, because our car's strength is high-speed cornering, don't forget. This track, not a high-speed corner to be seen. It's all low speed. That is our slight Achilles heel at the moment, so we shall certainly see now if that does indeed make a difference in comparison to the Alpines, for example, and the Mercedes. But yeah, let's find out what we can do in the jewel of the crown of the F1 calendar, the Monaco GP. Until then, folks, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll see you next time.